We are going live. Andy, we're live. Take it away, guy.
Welcome to this special Christmas edition of OZ NewsHour. I'm Andy Hagans here with Jimmy Atkinson. Today is December 19th, 2024, and we are discussing the most important stories in the world of opportunity zones.
We're talking about opportunity zones. We're talking about opportunity zones.
And we're going to start talking about opportunity zones in just a moment. But first, are you looking to take your opportunity zone strategy to the next level, but maybe you don't know where to go? OZ Insiders offers comprehensive premium content and networking to help you get started. Our monthly masterclass meetings cover a wide range of topics from fundamentals to advanced, ensuring you have what you need to thrive. As a member of OZ Insiders, you'll get access to our exclusive online community, monthly group coaching, and monthly masterclass, providing you with valuable OZ networking opportunities and guidance from the very best opportunity zone professionals in the industry. So whether you're a beginner or you're looking to get to the next level, we have what you need. Visit ozinsiders.com to learn more. That's ozinsiders.com. Andy, back to you.
And Jimmy, thanks as always for the plug for the Opportunity Zones Mastermind Group. And I have to say, we have a lot of momentum. We've gotten a lot of new members in the group since the election. I think there's a lot of fresh energy in the Opportunity Zone space. So we're going to talk about that today and then end the show with our special holiday gift guide, now a tradition in its second year, the Opportunity Zones gift guide. But Jimmy, our lead story, we want to start off.
Well, let's talk about our Irish first, Andy. Our Notre Dame Irish are in the college football playoff. I got my hat on.
Okay.
We're going to the game tomorrow, and I'm going to see you over the weekend. So looking forward to that.
Oh, so that's why you're in town. You said you wanted to meet me for lunch. I had no idea what the actual occasion was. So you're telling me there's some kind of a football game.
You got it, man. You got it. All right, let's get to our opportunity zones news, though.
Yeah, so we're talking about 2025. So that's our lead story today, is a preview of 2025. And Jimmy, we have really framed this around the key people in the incoming Trump administration, because honestly, the Opportunity Zones program, even from the beginning, it was a program that really depended on key people in key positions, right? To get to number one, to architect the idea and to architect the legislation, to write the legislation, and then to, get it through Congress and signed into law. And so we and many others in our space are watching very closely the people that are being included in the Trump administration, because we believe it can signal to us, how important an Opportunity Zones extension is to the incoming Trump administration. So why don't you kick us off, Jimmy? First of all, big picture, do you think overall, are you happy? Do you think you're seeing positive signs with some of the people that are being named to positions in the administration?
For sure, Andy. And obviously it was great news for Opportunity Zones that President Trump got elected and that the Republicans swept both houses of Congress, both the House and the Senate. So after election night, the morning after, it looked clear we were going to have a Republican trifecta. That's great. But how much does President Trump actually back Opportunity Zones? Well, he's made it very clear over the past few weeks with some of the nominations that he's announced to different cabinet positions and other positions within the White House. So I'll just kind of walk you through a few of them right now. First of all, his new HUD secretary is going to be Scott Turner, former NFL football player. And more importantly than that, though, he was formerly the executive director of the the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council. He was essentially the White House's Opportunity Zone czar. So the fact that this individual, Scott Turner, is now in charge of the entire housing department is a very positive sign for Opportunity Zones. President Trump has also recently named Kevin Hassett as the director of the National Economic Council. Now, Kevin Hassett is a name that might not be super familiar to a lot of people, but he wrote the original white paper on Opportunity Zones for the Economic Innovation Group. It was him and Jared Bernstein, who's a former economic advisor in the Obama and the Biden administrations, and Kevin Hassett was the Republican representative who has formerly been in the Trump White House the first time, and he'll be in the second Trump White House now too. So the fact that this is going to be Trump's National Economic Council director, another positive sign. And then Scott Bessent is going to be our Treasury Secretary, and he recently met with Senator Tim Scott at the Capitol just last week. And Senator Tim Scott was very pleased to catch up with him. He's a fellow South Carolinian, and Senator Scott even said in a statement that Senate Republicans stand ready to hit the ground running with the Trump administration to expand opportunity zones, extend the TCJA, and so on and so forth. So the fact that he calls out opportunity zones specifically after meeting with 2B Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is rather impressive, I think. So really positive, bullish signals coming from the Trump administration, all of these prominent opportunity zone backers. And Andy, you have one more because you really like Elon Musk as a positive signal for opportunity zones as well. And that's a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Why don't you get into why you think Elon Musk, and we highlighted him in our thumbnail for today's episode, the cover art for today's episode on YouTube. So why you think Elon Musk is a big deal for OZs?
Yeah, some people might think that's a bit of a stretch. And Jimmy, you're always good at this sort of, the wonk in the weeds, policy details kind of thing. So I think that the people that you mentioned indeed are very important. Elon Musk, I mean, to my knowledge, he maybe has never even mentioned the Opportunity Zones program in his life, right? But let me explain. If you go back to the great financial crisis, Jimmy, 2007, 2008, 2009, and going into then the election of President Obama, and then into like the popularity of Bernie Sanders and his campaign in 2015, 2016, there was this rising tide of, I would say, anti-capitalism in the United States, right? This country has pretty uniquely celebrated entrepreneurs and celebrated business, at least for the last century, definitely since I have been alive. And I think that's a pretty unique thing compared to many other countries in the world that are a little bit less friendly to business. But since the great financial crisis, there's been this cultural undercurrent or cultural force that's been very, just reflexively anti-capitalism, anti-business, anti-private sector. And you could really see that with Bernie Sanders and the popularity of his campaign and his ideas. We really haven't had like a cool CEO or a cool symbol of business, maybe since Steve Jobs, I would say, but I think what's important is with this recent election, not only does Elon Musk have this big place in the Trump administration, at least theoretically, and we'll see how that plays out in the real world, but he is definitely a symbol to me of the idea that, business is back. It's back in the popular imagination and the cultural imagination of Americans. And he's sort of made capitalism cool again. And so I think that maybe it just reflects the cultural mood, the fact that, Trump won the popular vote. But I also think it's important for the Opportunity Zones program specifically because, skeptics of the program have always sort of, again, these sort of cultural buzzwords, private equity, that have been sort of these negative buzzwords ever since 2008, 2009, sort of unpopular concepts. I think he's made private capital, business, even big business, cool again. And so I think that is very helpful for Opportunity Zones because it, in a way, that defangs the main sort of populist critique against the program, which is that, it depends on private capital. I think Elon Musk is just a big, important symbol that the private markets are back, baby, and they're back big time.
Oh, that's a good point, Andy. He's not vocally supportive of Opportunity Zones, perhaps, but I understand conceptually speaking, Opportunity Zones, this government incentivized tax program, but it really is incentivizing private capital investment to come into these low-income communities. So it really is all about private organizations and capitalism in many ways. It kind of leverages capitalism and incentives to do good all over the country. So yeah, I understand your point, Andy. That's a good one there.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about the word capitalism and what connotations different people give to that word, and I think you think of all of the young people who are fans of Elon Musk and who were fans of, let's say, Steve Jobs, giving capitalism, giving private markets that positive connotation. That's the kind of political air support, air cover that you need, I think, to not only hopefully extend the Opportunity Zones program and reform it, but ideally, Jimmy, make it permanent, make it a permanent popular fixture, or at least a long-term fixture in our tax code. So that's my theory. I think for better or worse, Elon Musk will be a pretty big part of the administration, at least for these first couple of years, but we'll have to see. So far, what we see, very, very positive in terms of the personnel, in terms of the people. But Jimmy, if we could move on to our next story. I know,
well, Andy, we did promise our viewers before we move on our
Oh.
predictions for Opportunity Zones in 2025. I think we've kind of skirted around it for a minute, and I've got this tax bill right here on my desk that was introduced a year and a half ago about extending Opportunity Zones, but I'm
how many pages?
Bigger,
how many
Andy,
pages is that, Jimmy? That stack actually didn't look as tall as I would have expected.
It's not that. Well, this is just the Opportunity Zones. It's just a handful of pages. If you consider the entire Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it's close to 200 pages.
I was thinking of like a phone book. Yeah.
This is the amendment to Opportunity Zones that would extend and improve it, which was introduced last September. Anyways, I want to make my official prediction for 2025. I'm going to swing for the fences here, Andy. I think Opportunity Zones are going to get extended, they're going to get renewed, and they're going to be made permanent in some sort of comprehensive, partisan, Republican-backed tax legislation under budget reconciliation before the end of 2025. So that's my big prediction. Andy, what do you think?
I'm not going to go against you, Jimmy. You are, I think, in the know as much as anyone. The one thing I would say that's going to be very interesting for me to watch is the House. Control of the House is razor thin.
It really is.
So I'm not going to disagree with you. I like the chances for that OZ renewal and extension, but I think people may be underestimating how weak control of the House is. Now, we said a couple episodes back of this program, or maybe it was in just the prior episode, the fact that President Trump won the popular vote, and that the Republicans that are in the House are the most Trumpy, are the Trumpiest group of Republicans, I think, ever in the House of Representatives. So I think if whatever he states as a priority, will be a priority, I think, for them as a group. But you have some members who are sensitive to the cap on that SALT deduction and some different, more regional issues. And the House margin is just razor thin. You're talking about one representative has a cold or the stomach bug and can't come to the House that day, and that kind of stuff could really end up mattering. So I guess my prediction, just to permute onto yours, I do think we'll see the OZ program get extended and renewed and reformed, but I think it's going to be a lot dicier getting any sort of tax legislation passed than people realize. So, and I'm all for it. I like theatrics. I like intrigue and theatrics and old school political horse trading. So I'm here for it. I'll have my bucket of popcorn, I guess. Jimmy, would this be about 12 months from now? This time next year? Is that really when we'll see the theatrics?
I think it'll be about this time next year, probably December of 2025. When they passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017, they had a much bigger margin in the House, although the House representatives probably weren't as Trumpy as they are now. So maybe that kind of it's a washout there, but it took them until right before Christmas to get the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act signed into law. Anyways, we'll continue to cover tax legislation throughout 2025 as new events unfold. So a lot still to come. So stay tuned in the new year.
Absolutely. And Jimmy, we have a little bit of industry news.
We do.
From our friends at Capital Square.
That's right. So Capital Square, congratulations to them. And they just completed a construction milestone of topping out their Knoxville multifamily OZ development. This is part of their Fund 8, which is incredible. They've done 8 different Opportunity Zone projects. And Andy, they just launched Opportunity Zone Fund 9 a few months ago and presented it at OZ Pitch Day last month to our audience. You can learn more about that by heading to ozpitchday.com. We showcased 12 different Opportunity Zone funds all over the country, but Capital Square has been a longtime supporter of OpportunityZones.com and this show. And we're pleased to be able to celebrate with them on behalf of this big milestone for their Fund 8 project in Knoxville. The Fund 9 that they just launched, that they announced during OZ Pitch Day, is actually in Richmond, Virginia. So Capital Square, great operator, and they develop mostly in Virginia and the surrounding states along the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast, Andy.
Awesome. Congratulations again to our friends at Capital Square. And, you know, what does make me excited about the potential extension, Jimmy, you have so many industry friends, you know, Capital Square, Caliber, Urban Catalyst, Origin Investment. I mean, there's just too many.
But combined, they're creating tens of thousands of new apartment units, housing units all over the country, which is great. I think Capital Square alone is going to hit over 2,000 new housing units created across all the different Opportunity Zone projects within a few years here, which is great.
Right. And now just imagine all of those housing units that were built through the OZ program. Imagine that was just like, hey, that was just our dry run. Now with OZ program 2.0, we're going to really put some fuel on the fire. So I'm excited to see that for sure. And Jimmy, next on our list, I know we have the holiday gift guide that everyone is excited about. We've gotten a lot of questions about that. Just kidding, but we're excited about it. But I do want to ask you to recap our most recent masterclass at OZ Insiders and let us know what's in store for Q1, because I know we have a pretty jam-packed schedule really for almost the first half of next year already filled at OZ Insiders. And I said this at the beginning of the show, but we've had a ton of new members join the group even just since the election. So there's sort of a fresh burst of energy inside the group. And another thing I'd point out, if you join OZ Insiders today compared to, you know, joining a year ago, I think it was a great value a year ago. But now there's so much content in the library because each of these master classes that we do, we add them to the streaming library. So they're now all available on demand. And I really think it's the world's premier library of that kind of video content. But Jimmy, could you tell us about our most recent masterclass? What was it? A couple weeks ago?
Yeah. And Andy, I think that's exactly right. We just had a member join, and I did a strategy call with him just yesterday. And he mentioned to me that he had already logged in and has bookmarked a handful of the different master classes that we have available on demand, which was good for me to hear, because sometimes I wonder, are our members watching these on demand? I know a few of them are, but it was good that a new member who had just joined, that was one of the reasons why he just joined, he's actually going through a handful of them. So our last masterclass, Andy, was taught by Blake Christian. He's a tax partner and OZ specialist CPA at HCVT, a pretty prominent national accounting firm. And his class was about salvaging blown QOFs and QOZBs. So what happens if you screw up your QOF for some reason, or if you screw up your QOZB, maybe you blow a timeline, blow a deadline, or something else happens inside it. Blake has helped advise hundreds of different QOFs and QOZBs over the years. He's been a prominent industry leader, so it's great to hear his thoughts on that. If in case you missed the one from last month, by the way, that one was also phenomenal because Emily Lavery joined us to go through what a Trump presidency means for OZ legislation in 2025. And she and some other guests helped lay out exactly what might transpire with legislation. Coming up in 2025, our first masterclass of the new year will be taught by Connie Rathbone, an attorney at VF Law. She's teaching a class on Opportunity Zone funds and securities law. So if you're offering a fund and you're going to raise capital from outside investors, here's some securities law implications that you need to keep in mind so you can stay out of jail or get in trouble with the SEC. Todd Vitzhum will be teaching our February masterclass on underwriting real estate deals in 2025. And then Brett Siglin is going to update us on real estate financing in the new environment. We got lower interest rates now from when he presented a very similar masterclass last summer. He's going to be showing us what he's seeing now in the marketplace in terms of debt financing, specifically for real estate and Opportunity Zone deals. And we're going to do our first meetup of the year in Los Angeles. We're going to have dinner with our OZ Insiders members. This is not exactly set in stone yet, but it's probably going to be late March or early April in Los Angeles. So stay tuned for that. And then more to come throughout the course of the year. We've got a lot of these written in pencil, at least on the calendar. So these first few are definitely written in ink. But you can always check out the calendar of events at OZ Insiders by heading to ozinsiders.com and then clicking calendar in the top nav there, Andy.
I'm really excited for the February and March masterclasses on underwriting and financing deals in 2025. And Jimmy, I'm just thinking interest rates, treasury yields right now are just like, it seems like they're all over the place. It's hard to make any sense, I think, of the market. It's more volatile, I guess, than I had expected, although maybe that just shows my naivety. And so I'm kind of curious where interest rates will even be in February or March, right? Because we'd all been presuming they're going to go lower. But the market isn't behaving very nicely right now. That being said, there's still a distinct sense of optimism from the demand side, from the investment side, at least from the folks that I'm talking to. So that's going to be very interesting, Jimmy. I'm bookmarking those in advance. I'll definitely be attending those two live.
Good. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you there, Andy. And it should be a pretty interesting 2025. So I'm looking forward to all those master classes that we have on tap.
Absolutely. Jimmy, shall we give the folks our holiday gift guide?
Let's get into it, Andy.
So last year we started this, I'll call it a tradition. It's probably the most niche gift guide in existence. It's a gift guide for that special opportunity zones someone in your life. And I believe last year, Jimmy, we had 5 opportunity zone related, and I use related loosely, items in our gift guide. This year, I think we have 6 gift ideas for that special OZ someone in your life, beginning with...
I might even go as far as to say 6+, because I might throw in a few other ones, but go ahead, Andy.
All right, well, get that first gift on screen so I can be sure to go in order. So the Briggs & Riley 22-inch carry-on 2-wheel garment bag. So this is a carry-on. It's a very, very nice carry-on. Jimmy, why did we include this in our gift guide? Of course, opportunity zone professionals and investors. We're always traveling, or we often travel. There's conferences, there's Novogradac. Some of us go to ADISA. Some of us go to OZ Insiders meetups in Chicago and Dallas and Los Angeles. You need a good carry-on, right? Because nobody packs bags anymore, right? We're all just carrying on. And the Briggs & Riley that we included on our gift guide last year, Jimmy, that you recommended to me was fantastic. There was simply one way that, in my opinion, it could be made better, which is a better solution to stow your blue blazer, right? Because if you're at a conference, if I'm at a conference, dollars to donuts, we're wearing khakis, a white shirt, and a blue blazer, right? There's just not a ton of room in a typical carry-on to pack a blazer unless you're some sort of expert packer. From what I understand, like flight attendants, they have this very specific methodology where they can pack this kind of stuff and it doesn't get wrinkled. But for the rest of us, if you're not an expert, this bag, it's designed as a garment bag that's also a carry-on, and it still has room aside from that garment area for your other stuff, maybe a spare pair of shoes, underwear, socks, belt, all that kind of jazz. Jimmy, I don't know if you got me anything for Christmas yet, if you got me a gift yet. If you have not, you should strongly consider getting me this.
Well, I'm coming to see you in a couple of days, so we'll see if I have one of these extra suitcases. This is pretty cool, though. I hadn't seen this one, Andy. I didn't really review this before we went live. I've got their regular carry-on. I've got the 4-wheel carry-on bag, but this is kind of cool. The separate garment compartment here. The garment compartment in the one I have is just kind of mashed in with the main compartment. So this is kind of interesting how they separate. I like it, Andy. Thumbs up from me. All
right. And I've been watching, they did a Black Friday sale, but this model did not go on sale. So maybe by
next year.
Exactly. By the time we do this segment next year, maybe I'll have one and I can give an in-depth review from my user experience. Up next is actually one other piece of sort of luggage, not really luggage. This is the Filson Rugged Twill original briefcase. This one I can give you my personal review because my wife gifted me this briefcase.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I've been using it daily. It's not cheap, although this is one that you can get on sale if you're patient. not inexpensive, but Jimmy, it will last a very long time. Filson will repair it if one of the straps ever breaks. It will develop a patina over time. So, it looks better, in my opinion, if it gets a little bit scratched or dirty or whatever. And it kind of toes that line. It's a nice looking briefcase, but it doesn't look too formal. In today's day and age, Jimmy, there aren't that many, Mr. Manager types going into the office with a leather briefcase, wearing a 3-piece suit and tie. It's like nobody does that anymore.
It's a casual briefcase for a casual man in a casual world.
Yeah, let's say a business casual briefcase for a business casual world, maybe.
Sure.
But anyway, I love this briefcase that my wife gifted me. Give it my highest recommendation. Hey, if you're going to an OZ conference, you have this as your briefcase and the Briggs & Riley garment carry-on as you carry on. I think you are as well sorted as any traveler in the entire world. Just my opinion. Again, not cheap, but buy once, cry once, as I like to say. And speaking of crying, your crying, aching feet will thank you if you invest in a pair of Hoka shoes. I had seen this brand. I've seen it for years now. I always stay away because I considered them to be so extremely ugly. I mean, just terribly ugly. They have very tall heels, et cetera, et cetera. But one thing I've noticed, Jimmy, you know who I see wearing these shoes?
I see nurses wearing them a lot.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Medical professionals. When you see nurses wearing a particular model or brand of shoe, you know that it's a comfortable shoe. They finally came out with this model in this color. What's it called? The Gaviota. And I finally, saw it in a store and I was like, you know what? I can stomach how this shoe looks. It from at least 5 feet away, it looks just like a normal kind of a sneaker. And I put them on and took a few steps and it was like heaven. It was like my feet were enveloped by the world's cushiest clouds. And, several months later, they're still pretty much as comfortable as the first day that I got them, Jimmy. Last year, we included, I think it was the New Balance.
Oh, yeah, you got the New Balance dad shoe, I think.
Yeah, the New Balance 993 was on our gift guide last year. And I think for pure looks, I would stick with the New Balance 993 for that classic New Balance look. But especially when I'm traveling, I like to wear comfortable sneakers. Don't judge me. I like to look good. I'm not one of those people who dresses like a slob when I travel. But you have to have comfortable feet when you're traveling, in my opinion. This would definitely be my new traveling shoe on any flight.
I think I like this limestone color with the OpportunityZones.com blue. This is a nice little pop here.
That is kind of your color, Jimmy.
My color, yeah.
Several different colorways. Another item on our list, again, not inexpensive, pretty pricey for a sneaker. I guess it just depends on how much you want to invest in your feet. In my opinion, it's hard to invest too much in your feet because you got to stand on them, and you only have 2 of them. Right?
Don't go cheap on footwear and don't go cheap on bags. That's what I always say.
All right, next up on our gift list, Jimmy, the Novogradac Journal of Tax Credits. I have to say, I have several magazine subscriptions. This one, by far, the most exciting of all of the periodicals that I receive.
This is a good one, man. I mean, I don't even know, does Sports Illustrated still exist? I don't even know if they do or not.
Good point.
But the Novogradac Journal of Tax Credits does, and they frequently have. So Novogradac covers the entire gamut of tax credits. So not every episode is going to be all about opportunity zones, but they do, I think once a year, they do have an opportunity zones issue. And they'll always have at least some sort of opportunity zones update in every, or at least the vast majority of issues. And it does really help keep you in the loop on what's going on in the tax credits industry. You can subscribe to the print edition or the premium edition, which includes a digital copy. There's a few different times you can subscribe for 1 year, for 2 year, but anywhere between $199 for a 1 year print up to $429 if you want everything print and digital for 2 years. So you can check that out at novoco.com. Just click on products here and you can't miss it. Thanks to our friends at Novogradac for partnering with us on their most recent event and for offering this awesome periodical, Andy.
Yeah, and Jimmy, for all joking aside, for
Wait,
this,
I'm quoted in the next issue coming out. So hopefully when January rolls around, I'll get to hold up a hard copy of that. So don't let me forget about that one, Andy.
well, now it just lost all credibility. I'm just kidding. No, but for in all honesty, all joking aside, for a journal of this quality, this professionalism, $200 a year is
It's a bargain.
yeah, I think it truly is. And there really is, in my opinion, aside from you, Jimmy, aside from you and from OpportunityZones.com, Novogradac is the authority in the Opportunity Zone space. So if you want to be in the know, definitely subscribe to this. Jimmy, what is next on our gift guide?
Is OZ Insiders membership, Andy.
And as we said, there's a lot of people who have been gifting this to themselves in the last month.
A lot of people gifted it to themselves, but if you want to gift it to a business partner of yours, or maybe you want to purchase a corporate sponsorship, here is our pricing. It's just on our homepage right here at OZinsiders.com. This is pricing as of December 2024. We might increase the pricing in 2025, TBD. So get in now while you can. You can save 17% by paying annually. $3,000 per year. Otherwise, it is $299 per month. That's OZ Insiders membership. Learn more at OZinsiders.com. Andy, why is this worth $3,000 per year for somebody who's looking to do more in the OZ world?
For me, Jimmy, it's the live interaction that I get at the master classes. And I've noticed that it's become increasingly popular. Like, not only is the group growing, but we're getting more and more engagement. And a lot of the members, you now do coaching session, live coaching. It's very informal before each master class. And it's, if you're investing in something as niche as Opportunity Zones, it's not easy to connect with people outside of going to Novogradac every year, right? Or even going to a niche event like ADISA and then specifically seeking out the other Opportunity Zone people. This is the only mastermind group of its kind where everyone is there to talk about Opportunity Zones. And we have, we had members asking, a particular question, and they'll get 2 or 3 opinions from different attorneys and accountants on the call, each of whom is a recognized expert in the Opportunity Zone space. So if you want information to help inform your decision-making, whether you're an investor or a professional in the space, it is absolutely the place to be. And
I don't disagree. Thanks for that, Andy.
If you're going to attend one of these master classes, I suggest you do so in style. Perhaps with one of the wonderful items that, Jimmy, you put your heart and soul into creating on your brand new Zazzle store.
We have a Zazzle store, everybody. We'll get the link out to everybody in the show notes after the episode. Because I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but here's some of what we have available on the Zazzle store. This OpportunityZones.com coffee mug already has over 20,000 5-star ratings, apparently. So and this is real, by the way. You can actually order for $7.57 per mug this OpportunityZones.com branded coffee mug. Goes great with donut. And let's read the description here. Do we have the description here?
Bring it up.
Let's see. Brace yourself for caffeinated greatness. This isn't just a mug. It's a porcelain chalice forged in the fires of Mount Java. It holds the elixir of life, or your morning coffee, with unparalleled grace and style. Featuring the OpportunityZones.com logo, it boldly declares, I'm not just drinking coffee. I'm drinking coffee worthy of Opportunity Zones. Possibly dishwasher safe, microwavable, and capable of containing the tears of deadlines. It's your new sidekick in conquering mornings, Mondays, and mediocre beverages. Perfect for gift giving, desk accessorizing, or starting a cult of coffee enthusiasts. Buy it now or risk being mugless forever. But wait, there's more. Not only do we have
Jimmy, was that ChatGPT or was it one of the other ones that wrote that description?
I did get ChatGPT to help me author that description. Yes.
That little robot did a pretty good job.
I got a pretty good job. Yeah. So I won't read the descriptions for all the rest of them, but they're all along that same sense of humor vein, I would say. We also offer our OpportunityZones.com branded mouse pad for those who still use a mouse. OpportunityZones.com trucker hat.
Wait, are there people who don't use the mouse? Like what? How are you?
Available,
How are you
you know.
using it? Tell me more. How are you
I got,
using a
I
computer?
got one of these things, baby. I got this little trackpad right here. Look at this.
Oh, okay.
So I don't
Okay.
actually have a mouse pad anymore, but some of you still have that old school, either the laser mouse pad or the really old school one with like the ball, the mechanical ball underneath.
I
We've
didn't
got-
even know I was old school. I mean, I do know that I'm old school in general, but I didn't know
I think you
that-
knew. I think
Yeah.
you knew. We've got
Okay.
we've got an OpportunityZones.com trucker hat available in a variety of colorways. I kind of like the red, white, and blue personally. There's a pink one for the special lady in your life, or you can get anything under the sun basically here. Blue, Opportunity Zones blue, maybe a old what are we looking at here? There's like a holiday green, I would say. And then
Sure.
one more. Keep your drink hot, keep your drink cold with our can cooler, OpportunityZones.com can cooler koozie. Folks, by the way, we're not profiting from the sale of any of these items on this store. We have no aspirations of actually making any money here. We just put this together for fun, for you guys to just show your support for OpportunityZones.com and get some kind of funny looking branded merch. So enjoy. We'll get the link out to everybody in the show notes after the episode. Or just send me an email if you're interested in purchasing a mug or anything else. Because I can't remember let's see, it's going to be at Zazzle.com. I found it, Andy. Zazzle.com/store/opportunity zones. Hard to beat. Andy, which one's your favorite at our new Zazzle store?
Well, I think I like the mouse pad because real men use a mouse. But Jimmy, slight correction. You said that we don't profit off of the store at all. But I would argue that if indeed any of our listeners purchases one of these beautiful items offered by this Zazzle store that you created, you will derive a huge ego profit or I don't know, some sort of emotional dividend, Jimmy, that I think is greater than money that you will receive if any of our listeners should purchase these items. So please, if you're on the fence, check out this store at zazzle.com/store/opportunity zones. Is that right?
You got it. A lot of great stuff on there.
That wraps up our holiday gift guide for this year. I hope Zazzle has plenty of stock of all of these items because they are sure to sell out in short order. But before we run out of time and wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, Jimmy, we need to make our picks of the month. So what are you reading, watching, or listening to in the world of opportunity zones that you would recommend to our audience?
Well, I would recommend this article that just published on Bloomberg Law just yesterday. Tax-friendly opportunity zones need fixing if allowed to survive. So the authors of this, Chris Wooten and Kevin Leftwich, actually do a pretty nice job of describing what's happening with opportunity zones in the greater context of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And they give some pretty good ideas for ways to improve the program, including let's eliminate the vanishing benefits. Why is this deferral date of December 31, 2026 fixed in stone for all investors? Why not instead have kind of a rolling deferral deadline? And then they get into a few other ideas as well, including let's do a better job of illuminating the community benefits. Let's open the program to more businesses. I mean, a lot of the same ideas that have already been espoused by EIG and the Novogradac Working Group and others. And hopefully we get a lot of these types of ideas into legislation such as this to get packaged into a big 2025 tax legislation bill that would reform and modernize and improve opportunity zones going forward, Andy. So that's my recommendation. That's my pick of this month is this article in Bloomberg Law. We'll have a link to it in the show notes for today's episode. But Andy, how about you? What's your pick of this month?
Yeah, and by the way, absolutely. We love the OZ program, but there are some great ideas to improve it and make it better, and we are open to those. My pick of the month, Jimmy, is a panel that you moderated at the recent OZ Pitch Day featuring Lyons and Jill Homan, all about OZs and tax reform in 2025. I have to say, I do think this was a highlight of the most recent OZ Pitch Day. You've now released it on our YouTube channel and as a recent episode of your podcast. And I truly do think this is a must listen. I mean, Jimmy, and on this program, we always like to give our perspectives on reform and what might be ahead in 2025. These are two very, very smart ladies giving their opinions, some different perspectives on what they see and what they predict. In my opinion, this is a must listen or must watch.
Yeah, very influential as well. I mean, Catherine Lyons in particular works for the organization that helped create opportunities in the first place, the Economic Innovation Group. And they are going to be instrumental in drafting the new legislation, or at least in proposing ideas to members of Congress, Senator Tim Scott and others, in terms of how exactly should we improve opportunity zones. And Jill Homan, obviously a titan in the industry as well, who has plenty of her own great ideas and is also pretty vocal in the industry with regards to getting the opportunity zone tax incentive extended and renewed and possibly made permanent in 2025 as well, Andy. So that's a great pick, Andy. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. We always appreciate Jill, all of the content that she produces for OZs in her newsletter that I very much appreciate, and for her, as always, appearing at most of our, if not all of our pitch day events. She does a great job. Jimmy, I think that's it for this special holiday edition of OZ NewsHour. We'll be back in January in the new year. Very excited to talk about OZs in the new year. So I'd like to wish all of our viewers and listeners a Merry Christmas. Thank you for watching and listening. And Jimmy, thank you for joining me today. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Andy, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. We'll see you in 2025.